Hello everyone, I'm the Shades, and welcome again to Shades' Soapbox. Wow, I didn't think I'd be talking about this again so soon, but Jesus H, tap dancing, Christ. This has to be the biggest shit show in the VTuber world at the moment. Okay, I'd say second biggest, but this one is much more impactful, and I need to call it out. So in my last video, I made mention of the ongoing drama happening to Nijisanji, and how it's caused a couple of its livers to jump ship and suddenly show up in VShoujo. Hell, not long after, I even joined Mildred the Monk for an episode of Geek Watch discussing Niji's problems. But I know not everyone wants to sit through a several hour-long podcast like that, so to condense it down as much as I can, Nijisanji, especially their EN branch, has been utterly destroying itself from the inside. While I mentioned before that the first big red flag was the firing of Zion Lanza, this has been an ongoing issue even before their EN branch, with two of their Japanese talents getting into a fight that led to one of them getting fired for the dumbest of reasons. Kingozaka Miero had a particular accent to her voice, often using the additive deo at the end of her sentences. The problem was that one of their senpais, Yuzuki Rura, had already been using that same speech pattern, though Rura's was artificial, supposedly, as part of her character, while Miero's was supposedly naturally part of her dialect, done on instinct. Rura had tried to reach out to Miero to resolve the issue, but Miero refused, and Miero eventually leaked confidential documents to a drama tuber. Gee, where have we heard that before? And Anycolor was forced to fire her. The issue here is that, while what Miero did was wrong, this could have easily been resolved if management had stepped in and forced the two to hash things out. And I speak from experience here, as I've had to intervene when two people in my community were clashing like this, and I had to act as a mediator to deal with it. So the fact that management let it get this far just goes to show that this issue with management not doing their fucking job is borderline systemic. We've already talked about what happened with Zion Lanza, as well as mentioned Mr. Ries and Nino Kosaka, and how they've all moved on. But since that video, things have only gotten worse, as 3 more members of Niji EN have left in various ways. The first was absolutely one of their biggest, as Pomu Rainpuff from their first EN Wave Lazulite graduated at the end of January. This was undoubtedly a massive blow. As I mentioned in my look at EN VTubers in my special VTubers guide episode, she was the breakout star of that first wave. And while her genmates in Alira Pandora and Finana Ryugu also built up a strong fan base, Pomu was the one who really made people take notice with her otaku charm and perfect mix of wholesome and cheeky personality. Her leaving was not something Niji needed right now, especially given all the recent graduations. The second was one from their 6th generation, Iluna, with Kyo Kaneko. Kyo's unique voice and personality added a special charm to him, and while he's not the most popular member of the crew, he certainly was not ignored and was doing well for himself. But what makes it interesting was the wording he used to describe why he was leaving Nijisanji.
And this decision was based solely on my interests and goals going forward. It's not based on like anyone or anything else. I just feel like I've accomplished everything that I can in my current form as an EN liver, and I need to move on to new creative endeavors. You know, I need new things for me to do, create. You know, I need a fresh start.
Donnelly can hear you say. This is speculation on my part, but that wording sounds to me like he was being held back from doing what he really wanted to do. And he felt like if he wanted to spread his wings and do what he wanted, he couldn't do it in Niji. Same goes for Pomo's graduation, as it's clear she had things she wanted to do as well, but was not allowed to by Niji.
I'm leaving to pursue other creative avenues, and I hope that my next adventure will lead me to more possibilities. And that sounds like so corporate. How do I put it? There was a really big opportunity that was given to me, or rather, I don't know, asked of me, and offered to me, offered to me, and I get why it wasn't accepted, but it's really frustrating that things weren't negotiated or anything. It was just flat out no.
Are you starting to notice the pattern here? Well, good, because now we get to the reason I decided to make this video. See, there was one other liver who I suspected was on her way out, but instead of another graduation, This time, she was full on terminated. Let's talk about Selene Tatsuki from their second wave Obsidia. She had become known for her gaming prowess, and she was an ambitious one to say the least, often working with other VTubers outside of Niji, most especially joining two members of Hollowstar ZN and a team for Apex Legends. But her fans started to notice something when many ideas she had were publicly getting shut down. First, a tournament she had announced to be organizing had gotten canceled shortly after it was announced, and she was being restricted on her activities as a result of this. But the big red flag came with a cover song she had been working on for the song Last Cup of Coffee by YouTube singer Lily Pichu. She had been working on the song for over a year, and yet shortly after the song was released, Anycolor privated the video, stating issues with the internal verification process, meaning they hadn't gotten approval for some part of it. Now, let's think about this for a moment. Selene had been working on this cover for over a fucking year! You're telling me that in that time, she didn't think to make sure her I's were dotted and her T's were crossed, and that she had permission to release it? I find that absurd to believe. Indeed, Lily Pichu and even the producer of the song both gave her permission, even written authorization, but it seems Niji still wasn't satisfied. And given that we know Niji's management isn't the most helpful thanks to comments by Matara Khan, aka Ninoko Saka, it doesn't surprise me at all that Niji didn't even bother to work with her, and maybe didn't even know she was working on the song until it came out, then panicked and shut it down, ruining all her hard work for nothing. Now, to be fair, Selene isn't 100% innocent, as she then went on to encourage third-party re-uploads of the cover to keep the song alive. That said, I don't entirely blame her either. She had worked so hard on this cover, and having listened to it myself, it was a great cover. So to have all that work wasted because of stupid management BS must have hurt. I suspect this was the breaking point, as from what we learned after her termination was announced, she was further harassed by management, and there's a slight possibility of even other livers per Selene's own words, though we have no knowledge as to which livers did this, if any, so let's not go on some kind of hate campaign and accidentally hound on innocent livers like that. It gotten so bad that Selene, on her pre-Niji VTuber account Doki Bird, and yes, I'm making a blatant exception to the no PL rule here, since this needs to be seen given the circumstances, and Doki herself wants it to be known she was Selene, so I'm happy to promote her. That Selene had even attempted self-harm after all the toxic abuse she was dealing with. After the song dropped, she slowed down her activities and eventually just disappeared altogether, causing fans to severely worry about her. Then, on February 5th, 2024, we got the news we were all dreading, that Selene Tatsuki had her contract with Anycolor terminated. They also admitted that they were the ones who locked her out of all of her accounts, leading to her disappearance. Anycolor even tried to get ahead of the backlash, explaining their reasoning for firing her. Sadly, this was already too little too late, as most had already suspected she was on her way out and knew why she was leaving, as well as seeing what had happened with other recent events to add to it. So when this announcement came, no one was buying their story, knowing there was more than what Anycolor was letting on. And it seems during all this, she even lawyered up to speak with them regarding all of this, showing she wasn't taking this lightly. And I wouldn't be surprised if this leads to a serious legal battle down the road. Hell, she didn't even know she was fired until that announcement dropped, which is all kinds of BS if I'm being honest here. I will say, on the flip side, the outpouring of support for her during and after her absence has been amazing. Fans, other VTubers, artists, and anyone else she's worked with have all sent her as much love as they can to show that they missed her. And her Doki Bird channel shot up to over 310k subs in just a few days at the time of this video. That means she's already getting her silver play button at this point. And unlike in Niji where they keep it from her, she'll actually be able to get this one herself, which she totally deserved. Also, many of those Selene had commissioned through Niji have made it clear that Niji had failed to pay them for their commissions, forcing Selene to pay them out of her own pocket. Some even mentioned not being able to sign the NDAs Niji asked for, since said NDAs were often containing errors, making them pretty much useless. How incompetent can a company be? Seriously! Looking at all this, it's clear to me that Anycolor and Nijisanji are in deep shit right now. It's clear to anyone who's paying attention how bad things are there. You don't hear drama like this from most other agencies. The only other agency that's honestly worse is Vtuber. But let's not even begin to discuss that cesspool right now, or we'll be here all fucking day. While Hololive has had drama now and then, most of the time it's honestly pretty tame. Even their most recent termination of Yozora Mel, while it was certainly shocking, Covercore did all it could to make it clear it was out of their hands, and that she left them on as best of terms as they could, even allowing her to post her own side of things online, where she admitted her fault, not blaming them for firing her. No one is blaming Covercore for what happened for that. Hell, at this point, even Russia's firing wasn't blamed on them anymore. And good lord, is that taking some twists and turns we could have never expected. The one incident where Covercore might have messed up was with Mana Aloe. But even then, it wasn't entirely their fault. And they did the best they could, but it was a total mess from all sides, where it was the fans who really made it impossible to deal with. And since then, Covercore has learned from that incident and has taken extra precautions to prevent shit like that from being an issue again. The point I'm making is that, with a few exceptions, few other agencies have as much drama and BS coming from them. You don't hear about things like this from Idol, Face Connect, Prism Project, or even VShojo. Even when VShojo was dealing with drama, it was often from the talent themselves, not the management. But let's not go too far off the rails here. This is the crux of the matter. The AnyColor's management of their livers is beyond abysmal. I'm not a proper businessman by any means, but even I think I can make a better manager than these ass clowns at this point, given my own experience. Things should have never gotten this bad, but here we are. And I suspect this isn't done yet. While I don't know who it'll be, I would not be surprised if we hear more graduations and terminations down the road. At the very least, unless AnyColor gets their shit together right now, this is only going to get worse. Their reputation is spiraling down the drain, and we're already hearing calls for a boycott, with fans unsubscribing to other channels by the tens of thousands in protest. And I can't exactly blame people for being sick of this shit. I'm certainly done, as the talents I liked the most are almost all gone. The only three I really still watch clips of here and there are Fanana Ryugu, Enna Owlette, and Scarlet Yogani. And even then, I'm not super attached to them like I am other agency/indie VTuber. So I'm finding less and less reasons to support them. Last time, I didn't call for a boycott, but it seems Niji's asking for it at this point. Again, I want to stress, if you enjoy some of the livers in Nijisanji, by all means enjoy them. This is not their fault. And they are some amazing talents who all deserve their success. This is about the company itself. There's actually a term in Japan for a company like this, and while I was hesitant for a while to call them this, I think there's no escaping it now. Nijisanji can easily be considered a black company. Poor conditions, power harassment, trying to throw employees under the bus when they get fired to damage the employee's reputation for the sake of salvaging the companies. That's the textbook definition of a black company. And this is coming from someone who, in a sense, works with a Japanese company with my work in Lab 316. While there are some small things I wish was better, I would never consider Lab to be a black company by any stretch. The management, even the CEO himself, who I speak with occasionally, never treats me badly. Never threatens me like this. If I feel like I'm overwhelmed on a project, they work with me or pass the work to someone else to keep things going without ever making me feel like I'm a bad voice actor for not being able to handle it. They also value the opinions I give them when I bring things to their attention. Honestly, I'd say they're pretty good, just not perfect. And most of the issues I do have, a lot of them are beyond their own control, so I don't hold it against them. And they do their best to compromise. But I don't want to delve into the details here since that's irrelevant. Simply put, I know Niji can do better than this. Not within US standards, but just within Japan's own standards of how a company should run. Meanwhile, you know other agencies are going to be chomping at the bit to get their hands on these recent departures. I would not be surprised to hear Pomu and Selen elsewhere in the future. Maybe they go independent for now, such as Doki Bird going all in on things. But given recent events, I wouldn't be too surprised if we hear about new talents joining VShojo in the next few months, if you catch my drift. Hell, the boycott I want is to encourage the other livers to leave Niji and find success in other agencies or in the indie scene. I can just imagine those like the aforementioned Finana, Enna, and Scarlet going to VShojo and fitting in perfectly with their total D-Gen personality. And with her cute and wholesome vibe, Rosabee Lovelock would be a big hit in something like Hololive. Simply put, Nijisanji is not just in hot water, they are in a pool of molten lava at this point. And if they don't fix things fast, we could be seeing the end of their EN branch entirely. And even their JP talents may take a hit for this, as this reputation bomb is undoubtedly going to affect them as well. If AnyColor doesn't get off their ass soon, then they will be soon drinking their last cup of coffee. Anyway, that's going to do it for me here today, ladies and gentlemen. On the shades, and we'll see you guys next time. rock on!